We have finished our nursery round. Our finals round just finished about an hour ago, and we are not missing a beat. We are moving right along into the intermediate finals. Those are going to get started in just a few moments here. Anticipation is high. Nerves rapidly accumulating.
Okay, who's first? What is our run order?
We are going to pull up our run order in just a moment. Just a reminder, we are here for the intermediate finals round of the brought the cattle to the orange tub, and when he begins to leave, or when the handler sends their dog, whichever happens first, that is when the clock is going to start. And howdy right back to you there, Melissa. Thanks for joining us. We had some really nice runs, a very competitive nursery class for the finals earlier today, and we're moving right into the intermediate. 5 teams have made it to the final round. We're about to find out who will take home the big prize. In the meantime, some call outs to many of the sponsors who have helped make everything here possible.
I got Lincoln on there, so.
And just a reminder as well, if you want to check out scores, running orders, how anyone has done over the course of this week, you can just head straight to ncafinals.com. You'll find all the running orders for all the classes, runs 1, 2, and the finals, and scores as near and as fast as we can update them are showing up there. So just stay tuned. We're only moments away from getting things going. Thank you to Pew Productions for photography, live stream, videography, all that you're seeing on your screens today, and all that you've seen over the past few days. Our thanks to the tireless efforts of the dream team behind Pew Productions, and you can reach out to them if you've got an event coming up, if you need some videos made, anything you need. There's an email address there right at the bottom for you, and get in touch. Don't delay.
Do not delay.
Once people see the quality of this production in particular, phone lines and the email inboxes are going to be full. Blowing up. Thank you to Mud Creek Ranch as well, another one of our major sponsors. And every single one of these sponsors has done a lot to make everything you're seeing here possible. High Roller Group has been a huge component as well. Everything from helping to organize to financial support to providing water for all the handlers and staff.
Marvin,
They've been a big part of everything you're seeing.
Here in the trailer whenever you're ready to take them home.
Again, we're just minutes away from kicking off our intermediate finals. In the meantime, thank you to JB Waterwell. Thank you to Whitetails. Thank you to GNK Whitetails as well. And Joni Titchen / J Stock Dogs. Need lessons? You want to buy a dog? You're looking for some training for a dog you already have? Call up that number there and say, hey Joni, need some help? She'll hook you up. Windwalker Kennels from Chris Timmons, another big sponsor of ours. Makes some really, really nice kennel systems for you if you should be so inclined, if you're in that market.
And that's a picture from Pew Productions.
And I'm being told from an inside source here, who may or may not know, that this picture and this graphic was made by Pew Productions. And Murhow. What does Murhow do?
You know, I'm not positive. I think it's buildings, but
Okay, we think Murhow might be involved in buildings. Either way, we really appreciate all the...
trailers.
Oh, they're horse trailers. Okay, so they make horse trailers. And very fine ones from what I'm being told. Thank you to Murhow. And also thank you to Prime Acres.
Look like they still down there.
Now that's a nice logo. Is this a Pew
You
Productions
can have
logo?
a collar.
Well, it's still a nice logo. And Field Quest Precision Agriculture Services. If you need any soil sampling, any of that good stuff, that's who you call. And I think I'm seeing Angie Johnson and her dog Mike start making their way to the field. So that could be a sign that we are not far from kicking things off here. I know the anticipation is high for these 5 handlers and their dogs. This is a big moment. In the meantime, thank you to Axtell Pharmacy and 5 Oaks Cow Dogs from Jonesboro, Arizona. Arkansas.
Yeah,
Oops.
Arizona's AZ.
Ah,
He is from Canada.
I'm from Canada, so I haven't got all the...
Ready to go.
All right. That said, it is no mean feat to get 30, 40 points on a course this big with an intermediate dog. JD Waymeyer's saying he doesn't have sound.
Yeah, I see it moving here. I'm gonna check it out.
Sure. Yeah, I think the sound is working fine. At least for me.
It must be background settings out too.
Huh.
Must be that.
Everyone just make sure you hit the audio button on your screen there. We've just tested it. The sound does appear to be working.
I got it. I hear you.
So just make sure that as you're watching, you're hitting that audio button on your screen, on your video player in Facebook, or else you will not be able to hear the sound. All right, JD's got it. Hopefully, Caitlin Kennedy, hopefully you're able to get your sound going as well. But we have confirmed it is working. So if you don't hear anything, I'm sorry to say it's you. Anyway, Angie and Mike are working on obstacle 3. Do we know how many points they got on obstacle 2? 3, okay. So they're sitting on full points so far. That is no joke. This is a big course. It's a big jump up from what the intermediate handlers have been doing this week. I certainly know this would have been a huge course for me when I was an intermediate a year ago. And Angie and Mike they're doing a good job. This is a lot to ask for a newer dog and a newer handler, and they have risen to the challenge. Just a reminder to Ryan to make sure you're not on mute. Might be too busy there doing calculations.
The wizard.
No. Wizard of math, not of the mute. Anyway, so this is a tricky obstacle, but Angie and Mike are moving on with some good momentum here. They still have 2.5 minutes, and don't be surprised if we see a number of intermediate runs in the 90 point, 60, 90 point ballpark. I don't think that there's much need for Angie to be anything less than proud of the work that she and her dog have done here on a tough field, a tough course. You know, we just had top handlers in the nursery class sometimes having a bit of difficulty with this course, and so definitely something that any intermediate handler can be proud of. Now, obstacle 4 is tricky because it does kind of require some long distance commands, some tight turns, just to tuck your cattle in behind that obstacle there. Just behind the number 4, you want to come in from the left-hand side, push them out the right. Time is ticking away. They're in their final minute here. They'd like to leave maybe with a few more points on the board, so it would be certainly something they'd love to get if they could get 10, 20, 30 more points here. But it's looking a bit tough here. Cattle have drifted quite a bit away. Mike is going to go for a union break here. Get some water. This is a big course. This is a lot of work for an intermediate dog, and so no shame in grabbing a bit of a refresher. And he is freshened up and ready to go.
I think they just moved over to Artesia, New Mexico. I believe they were from Oregon.
And then he's going to try one last time, but time is going to run out, unfortunately.
Time!
And there it is. So, valiant effort from Angie Johnson and her dog Mike. They stepped up on the big field on a tough course, and they did not back down. And so they can be proud of that for sure. Thank you to Rock Creek Ranch. This is also our judge, Jerry. He fed us on our handlers meeting, or handlers dinner on Thursday night. And he's been kind and fair in judging. And I hope he will look benevolently upon some of us who are running tomorrow. and remember us.
Remember the kindness we should be in.
But just really been great judging all week. Every participant would say the same, and it will no doubt continue. It can sometimes be tricky to judge some of these runs and some of these courses. There are some intricate obstacles that you're watching from a decent distance, and yeah. And just a reminder too that Bigger Hats is donating custom hats to each winner from each class. And those hats are no joke. There's a lot of time and effort that is put into those, and they're custom made. And thank you also to Dragon Industrial for their wraps. Wherever you might need a wrap.
That was Angie and Mike with a score of 90 points and full time of 7 minutes. Up next, Verona Butler and Eli.
And here comes our next team. Verona Butler and her dog Eli. And they are coming into today's final round with a score of 390 and a combined time of 12 minutes. So just for reference, Angie Johnson and Mike were coming into this round with a score of 330. They picked up 90 points, so that puts their total up to 420. And now Verona and Eli are coming in with 360 points. So they're going to need 60 points or more to take the top spot, at least for the moment. And here comes Verona now. Her dog Eli is looking ready. He's looking for his cattle. They are not set yet though, so nothing to see. She's gonna walk out with him, get him positioned, get him looking in the right direction. That can be really key when you're a newer handler or you have a younger dog. Making sure that they're pointed in the right direction from the start, especially if your dog has not done many big outruns in trial conditions. That can be half the battle. You want your dog looking in the right direction. If they don't see their cattle, it makes things a lot harder. And here come Verona and Eli's cattle now. It's looking promising. It looks like Eli knows where they are. She's going to give him a few moments. And then going to send him on the away side. Probably just waiting for her cattle to get over to that orange bucket. That is where the set out is. And here she goes. Eli is off. She sent him on the away side. And his outrun is looking nice. This is a long outrun for an intermediate dog. But he is looking pretty good. A bit tight. Maybe coming in a bit early. He's going to cross over. That doesn't mean they're out of the running by any means. Sometimes these cattle can take offense to a crossover on an outrun, but in this case, these three have stayed relatively calm. Now she's going to try and walk him up now. She wants to get her cattle moving. That is the battle here. And they've done it. Pretty good pace. Cattle haven't separated. Now she's just going to try and make sure she can keep them on this line. Needs a come by here. She gets it. And they're going to go through the panels. That was a nice, well-timed come by there from Verona. And Eli obliged it. And as a result, they're going to get their first 30 points. Remember, she needs 60 in order to match Angie Johnson's score, combined score from her 3 runs. Because Verona's coming in as the 4th place team here with Eli, she does start with a few more points than Angie and Mike, but she also knows that the next teams to come placed a little bit higher than her in their first 2 runs, and as a result they'll have a few more points than her and Eli will most likely. And so she's not just going to be happy with getting 60. She's going to want to get as many as she can to give herself and Eli the best possible chance at ending up on the top of the combined scores from all 3 runs. So they haven't yet gotten through. They didn't manage to get any of their cattle through obstacle 2 quite yet, so Eli and Verona are going to have to put these cattle back down there. It's a long way to go. The clock is ticking. But they do have time. Just needs to be nice and calm here. Nudge those cattle back in the direction she wants them. Got to be a little careful. Don't want to get too close to those trees. The shade can be mighty appealing for some of these cattle. And she's going to get it here. Now, Eli didn't quite take the away flank that Verona asked and then demanded, but it ended up not costing them. That said, she's gonna probably want to be on her toes with Eli. If he's gonna override some of the commands, then that might come back to haunt them a little bit later in the run. Fortunately there, she had her cattle nicely lined up so that even though he didn't quite take the away flank that she was asking for, it did not upset things too much. And she's got her cattle in a nice position here for this obstacle. She's had all 3 come through the left side, which is what she wants. Now she wants to put them back on the right side. Needs an away here, but not too much of an away. Doesn't want to turn her cattle back the way they just came. But this is looking good. She's going to quickly adjust the one on the left hand side that thought about maybe taking a detour. And this is looking really nice here. They're going to walk away with 90 points here. So they have now matched the run total of Angie Johnson and her dog Mike that we just saw before this. And because Verona and her dog are coming into this final round with 30 more points than Angie and Mike had, that puts them currently in first place. No matter what happens for the rest of this run, they will be ahead of Angie and Mike from this point onward. But Verona's a competitor. This is a good dog. She's not going to simply settle for getting more points than one other handler. She's going to be looking to accumulate as much of the points on the table here as she can, so that no matter what happens in the run still to come, she's given herself the best possible chance of emerging victorious. She has one other dog that she'll run in this class. We have 5 total teams for this intermediate group. Verona has 2 dogs, Mike and Eli, in it, coming in the 3rd and 4th positions based on their total score to date. Angie Johnson, who we saw run first here, also has 2 dogs. And then the last dog will be Dusty Oliver and Trudy. They won't be running last, but they will be the last of the 5 in terms of keeping track of who's going to be running in this class. So now Verona's moved on to obstacle 4. This one's a bit tricky. It proved a little troublesome for our last team, but they're handling it pretty nice. Unfortunately, they do not want their cattle squirting out the top there. They want them to come through the middle. She needs an away here. She needs that away that Eli was a bit reluctant to give earlier. This time, though, she gets it done, and she's going to get all 30 of her points from obstacle 4. This is the furthest we've seen an intermediate team get on this course. And to be honest, a 7-minute time coming out of obstacle 4 would have been a nice time even for the nursery class. So Verona and Eli are doing nice work here. They might be in the intermediate class, but they are looking like pretty darn good handlers. There are some open handlers who would be happy with this run. I certainly would be. Things are going well. Now she needs her cattle to come on the left side of this split here. And they are lined up really nice. She's going to pick up another 30 points here. And she's got 2 minutes, which getting through obstacle 5 with 2 minutes left was a benchmark, a pretty good benchmark for the nursery class. So there's a lot to be happy about here. If you're a Verona and Eli fan at home, you're cheering right now. Maybe you bet on this team to win, in which case you're having a great time. Or if you just like good dog work, then you're probably pretty happy anyway. Now, obstacles 6 and 7, this is not an easy one. And a nice little standoff there from Eli and that one heifer. And Eli didn't give his ground, but he didn't, rush in there and bite unnecessarily either. He said, no, you're going to move. And that heifer said, yes, I am. And she is going to get her pen points as well. And she has got a minute now to get her sort. She wants 1 out the top, 2 at the bottom. There's 1 out the bottom. There's a 2nd out the bottom, and she is going to get a full point run. And that run would have beat most of the nursery finalists this morning, which, if you're an intermediate, that is a heck of an accomplishment. So congratulations to Verona and Mike for a commanding performance.
That was Verona and Eli with a full score.
Oh, Verona and Eli, I apologize.
9 minutes and 6 seconds. Great job.
So 9 minutes and 6 seconds for Verona and Eli. And if we see someone beat that in intermediate,
And Verona is up next with Mike.
we'll have seen a very impressive intermediate class. But that is really, really something else. So congratulations to them both. Angie Johnson is leading coming into the finals. There, Katrina. She has a score of 420 points, and that's with her dog Double J Bell. But we do go in reverse order, so we start with the lowest seeded team. In this case, Angie Johnson and her dog Mike. And then we go backwards to the fourth place dog coming into this final, to the third, to the second, and the first. And Verona and Eli were the fourth place team coming into today. Although they have really laid down a smoking run of 9 minutes and 6 seconds in full points. So they've put some pressure on the higher seeded teams. That said, Verona will be back out on the field next with her other dog, Mike. And Verona and Mike are coming in with 390 points. And they are currently, or were currently, the third place team after 2 rounds. So we'll see if Verona can repeat her magic. And here they are. Verona is calling for her cattle. Mike, maybe he watched Eli put on a clinic there and he's thinking, I can beat that. We'll have to see. And here come the cattle now. They're going to try and push these cattle onto the orange bucket. Can't see it on your screen just yet, but you will. Verona is just waiting for cattle to get a bit closer to the setup before she sends Mike away. And he's off. He's coming in a bit tight. We'll see if he casts out. She's trying to remind him with a few more away whistles. He's coming in a bit tighter than you'd like, but cattle don't seem to mind too much. There he goes. A few more aways do get him to cast out, but he needs to be careful because his cattle are making a bit of a line back to the set out. It's going to take some extra oomph now to dissuade them from that, and he does a nice job there. He turns off his head, gives his cattle the opportunity to make the right choice. He's treating his cattle nice here. The question will be, do they decide to react to that generosity, or do they give him a bit of a hard time here to lift? Bit of trouble here. He's working hard, giving these heifers plenty of opportunity to get moving. One or two thought about trying to size him up, and he shut that down nicely. The difference between first and second combined is 30 points. Dusty Oliver and Trudy have 390, and Angie Johnson have 420. We have not yet seen them run. Dusty will be next with Trudy, and then Angie Johnson will close out this intermediate class with Double J Bell. But both Verona and Mike and Dusty and Trudy have 390 points coming into this run. Now, Verona and Mike have their 30 points from obstacle number 1. They're on a fairly good path to get another 30 here at 2. Things are lined up well. If they just let these cattle drift through, they should be in good shape, and they are. On to obstacle 3 now. Pretty smooth work again from Verona. Her and Eli had a really nice run. And this one's shaping up to be similar so far. She's got her cattle pointed right where she wants them for obstacle 3, sorry. She's gonna miss one of her heifers. That's not good enough for her. She's gonna put them back through, give it another go. She has the time to be picky. Just a reminder, if you're enjoying this live stream, head on over to Pew Productions on Facebook. Give them a like. This live stream comes courtesy of those fine people. And sure is nice if you're not able to come to an event like this to get to enjoy things in real time, basically, in high quality. And even as a handler, it's nice to be able to go back after your run is over and find footage of it that isn't grainy or shot on someone's shaky iPhone. And sometimes you even get some commentary on top of it, which there's not many trials you can do that. So now Verona has made quick work here of obstacle 3. She's going to be feeling pretty good to get out of here in just under 5 minutes and be on her way to obstacle 4. And they're on the move now. Now, obstacle 4 has been made a little bit easier than it was in the horseback class, or sorry, the nursery class this morning. They opened up the panels a little bit. There have been some modifications to the course. Just to, you know, lighten the load a little bit on these intermediate dogs and these intermediate handlers. Already a big jump from where they were competing in the first 2 rounds, which was indoors. And for the final round, they have stepped out onto the big field. And that takes courage and it takes skill. And we've seen it from every single intermediate handler team so far. As Dana Ingalls has rightfully pointed out in the chat, everyone who makes it to this stage has earned it, and it takes talent to do so. Now Verona is working hard to get Mike to move her cattle where she wants them. She managed to fix that one heifer that was on a bit of an adventure on the wrong side of the panels, and she's going to fix things here and get another 30 points. She needs a come by now from Mike, and she's going to get it. She's telling him to walk up now. She's still sitting nice on time, 6 minutes and 38 seconds or so, unofficially. Plenty of opportunity here to close this out. She needs to get her cattle coming up to 5, though. It almost looks like she's retrying 4, which I don't think she needs to do. And, yep, she's not actually trying to be there. She's just... Yeah, now she has already completed this obstacle, so doesn't have to worry about losing her points for trying to retry or anything. She's not intentionally there. She's just working on getting her cattle up this hill now, coaxing them on. And there we go. Got about 50 yards or so to get to obstacle 5. 2.5 minutes or so until she's out of time. She's going to want to do 5 and push for 6 and 7 if she can, so needs to get her cattle going. They are starting to lean on her dog a little bit. They want to come perhaps to the exhaust here on the right-hand side. But a nice job there from Mike just to shut that down. But they're getting heavy on him. A little bit heavy on him. So now we need these 3 heifers to come on the left-hand side. She's got one. She's got 2. She's got 3. Made that look easy. And now Verona gets to walk anywhere she wants. And she'll need to walk to help Mike get her cattle down to obstacle 6, which is a pen, followed by obstacle 7, which is a sort of the right side of that pen. And she's doing a nice job staying off her cattle here. We even saw some really experienced handlers earlier today move in on their cattle at this point, and in some cases spook them. And she's not making that mistake. She might be in the intermediate class, but she's a savvy competitor.
She will be next year.
And as someone has pointed out here, she's not going to be an intermediate handler
Panel with her.
this time next year.
She opened up her obstacle.
And sometimes a good handler will redesign obstacles. And she's got 1 out the top. She needs the other 2 to come out the bottom here. And she has done it. That is another full point run.
Beat herself.
She just beat herself. Poor Eli is in shambles back here. Disbelief that his previously best run has been supplanted by his own mom. But that is dog trialing.
Ranching is passed down from generation to generation. Know what else gets passed down? The world's finest ranch and rodeo equipment, manufactured by WW Livestock Systems. Ranchers demand quality, and they have come to depend on WW equipment to fulfill their needs, large or small. We invite you to consider WW, made in America, available coast to coast. WW Livestock Systems, the world's finest since 1945.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks, Rocky. Thanks, Cooper. You too, Toby and Jody and Daisy and Sadie and Gracie. Your loyalty means everything to us, which is why we perfected the recipes behind our food and included special support for mobility and immunity. Find premium nutrition near you at nutrinaworld.com/loyallife. Nutrina, what's inside counts.
All right, so we are moving right along with the dog and handler that is coming into this round in second place. But of course, the bar is very high now with Verona having just laid down 2 full point runs. So Dusty is going to want a very strong showing here to either defend his second place or, if he can, to climb to first. His cattle are about to make their way out here. And thanks to our official math whiz working hand in hand with the team here in the judging booth, we know that Dusty and Trudy need a full point run of less than 9 minutes and 11 seconds, barring something fantastic from Angie Johnson in the final round to move to first place. He's just waiting, giving his cattle time to get over to the set out. Good to be patient. He sent his dog now. Trudy is gonna cross over. He sent him on the away, but Trudy said, I like the look of the come by a little bit more there, boss. Made an executive decision. And that won't cost them, it doesn't look like. Cattle were not too bothered by that. And Dusty and Trudy are looking for 9 minutes and 20 seconds or less in full points to be ahead of Verona and Mike. We'll see if they can pull it off. And then, of course, Angie Johnson and her other dog will have something to say in their run, which will be the last run coming after this one. So far, so good. Oh, needs that come by flank. Needs maybe one more. Needs to get his cattle just a little bit to the left. Oh, don't want that jazzing. Now and away. There we go. Some really tight work there from Dusty and Trudy. They nearly missed their panel, but salvaged it with some nice flanks that were well timed. They're going to make their way over to obstacle 2 now. They're sitting good on time. They're only a minute and 45-ish into their run. So they are on track to do some good work here. They can just keep things calm, keep things cool. Looking like a good pace and a good line here to obstacle 2. Needs an away now. Just almost too late, but they saved it again. Dusty and Trudy are doing some nice work at the 11th hour on these fetch panels, both on obstacle 1 and 2, and they have emerged with 60 points so far. Have not had to go back and retry anything. Thanks to Trudy listening really nice on his flanks right when Dusty needed them from him or her. Now on to 3. And it's looking good here. If he can just get a little bit of his heifer's attention turned into this obstacle. He's got one on the outside. And once again, it seems like every obstacle Dusty and Trudy put on a bit of a show for us. Leave us guessing how things are going to go. But fast flanks can do a lot of good for you in a trial like this. And Trudy knows how to get around her cattle in a hurry and turn them. And look at this. They're going to waltz right through obstacle 3. And we might have thought after watching Verona's 2 runs that we'd seen the high water mark. But Dusty and Trudy are not going quietly into the night here. They've come to play. And they're moving really nice. Look at this nice pace, covering the ground between 3 and 4. Real smooth here. Barely touching 4 minutes now, and Dusty and Trudy have already made it through 3 of the 7 obstacles that are on their list here. Not to mention they've covered the largest amount of ground between obstacles. The first few obstacles have a lot of driving between them, but things really start to condense from 4 onward. He just needs to turn this one heifer back in with her group, and then he's going to need a big come by here. Now and away. Tuck them back through. Waiting for that away here. There it is. They're having a tiny bit of difficulty with this obstacle, but it is nothing that has so far yet put them out of the running. Still working on puzzle number 4 here. You want your cattle tucked in beside that tree, and you want to push them out the right side of obstacle 4. Again, they're still sitting good on time. If they can get this quickly, they need to finish with full points in under 9 minutes and 20 seconds to be in a position to take first place from Verona and Mike. But things are kind of unraveling a bit for them here in obstacle 4. Now a big come by here gets it done, but Trudy needs to not hesitate with these come bys. She needs to take them, and she's resisting. There it is. There's the come by. Now if he can lie her down, maybe with one more come by there, and a big away here, and that should do it for them. They've lost some time at obstacle 4, but they are not out of it yet. Some good handling there from Dusty to fix what was potentially going to be a troublesome situation. And they're on their way to 5 now. Again, he needs his cattle to come through the left side of this obstacle. Verona was able to sail through, and it looks like, oh, if they can just come by here. This is going to need a retry as well. He's got his eye on a full point run here. And just little minor seconds here are the ones that are proving the difference between getting some of these obstacles right away. And there you go. He's got them lined up now. He just needs to be real precise here.
I don't know, do it.
He's got one on the wrong side. There he goes. He's fixed it. Okay. 60 points left to pick up. About a minute and a half to do it if he wants first place. This is where winners are made. Situations like this. It's going to come down to be a near run thing. He's got just over a minute now if he wants first. He's confidently strolling to the pen. His cattle are lined up. Can he make it happen? He's got time.
Oh, she went to the water.
She needs water. Gotta be feeling the pressure now if you're Dusty. He's gonna get his pen points. He needs to get this sort almost right away. Any mistake here is the end of his hopes for first place. Cover your cattle. He's got them covered. 1 is pointed out this way. 2 are pointed out that way. Oh, and he's gonna... And he loses. Oh, heartbreaker there.
Man.
He took his eye off the prize for just a moment. All he needed was to push that last heifer out. And that will seal the deal for his shot at first, but he can still complete this course and give himself an opportunity for second or third. But that is a heartbreaker right there. That he had it in the bag. All he needed was that last heifer just to be pushed out, but he put a little too much pressure on that heifer, and it was too much for his dog to hold there. And Now the question is, can he get this sort done in the last 10 seconds? But he's got to be careful. He's putting a lot on these cattle with his body, and a lot on these cattle with his voice.
Time!
And that he's going to run out of time and be 30 points shy of a full point run. Still a great run from Dusty and Trudy, but an indication of how much our presence can impact our cattle, especially in those tight sorts like that. We've all been there. We get in the heat of the moment. We know victory's on the line, and we maybe put a little bit too much on them, and it can push cattle over our dogs, or it can send them out of an obstacle that we don't want them out of. But still a great run. Unfortunately, though, this will not be a first place day for Dusty and Trudy.
What did you say?
Couldn't hear.
Oh, he might not have heard.
Oh, he just heard me holler time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are down to it now. The last run of the intermediate class National Cattle Dog Association Finals for 2022. We've seen some really, really nice runs in this class so far. And our first place team, or our team that was first coming into today, is now stepping up to the post to see if they can close this one out. We've already seen Angie Johnson and her dog Mike. They kicked things off for us in the intermediate class, but she's back again, this time with her dog that is coming into this final round with 420 points. No other team in the intermediate finals came in with 2 perfect runs under their belt. And so we've got a lot of pressure on Angie's shoulders here. She needs at least 6 of her 7 obstacles to be full points here, just to tie Verona Butler, who got a full point run earlier today but came in with just 390 points. And so Angie Johnson is going to want, if she can't get a full point run, then at least 180 point run. That said, she only has 11 seconds advantage over Verona and Mike coming into this round. And so if she does only manage to get 180 of her 210 available points here, she'll then need to make sure she's 11 seconds faster. It's not going to be easy. So far, though, good start. Cattle have lifted nice. They're a bit spread apart. She might want to do a little bit of a come by here just to bring that right heifer back on path. Sometimes dogs can be a little bit reluctant to go for the single here in a situation like this, but she's done the right thing. She made sure with a few repeated whistles that she got the come by from her dog that she was looking for. She might need another one now, though. She's asking for an away. She's going to try and bring the 2 to the 1. That might be a tricky strategy, though, because her single on the right here is moving down the field faster than the other 2. Yeah, and she's now going to give the come by. I think maybe a bit too late, but certainly not completely out of the running here. Now she's going to need a way to tuck her other 2 cattle in behind this, but unfortunately they are going to slip behind. So a bit of a battle here for Angie and Double J Bell to get their cattle grouped up and on the same page. They're taking some liberties here, these cattle, and if this isn't shut down in a hurry, it's going to come back to haunt them for a lot of this run. So Angie needs to get her cattle headed back in the direction they just came to give one another shot. She's not going to want to leave points on the table on obstacle 1. There's too much on the line. Not just the glory and the buckle of being the intermediate champion, but the money and the other prizes, the bragging rights. She needs a good run here. She's sent her dog on an away. I think she wants to come by here, not the away. And Double J Bell's looking a little bit hesitant about this one heifer here, being a little bit reluctant to take control of her. And that is going to be hard to overcome. Needs a come by now. Get these cattle turned to the right. Get them back on track. They've had a little bit of their way for this run so far, and if Angie and Bell can get authority going here, needs a come by here, not an away. And it's not clear if Bell is disobeying or if Angie's giving the wrong directions here. It does happen. Even very experienced, very skilled handlers, when the pressure's on, can sometimes find themselves giving their dog the wrong command. But things are looking a little bit brighter here. Their cattle are on a path to come through obstacle 1. The downside is they have used up 4 minutes getting through obstacle 1, and that is going to make their road to a full point run here very steep, almost insurmountable unless there is a big turnaround here. And these cattle are just kind of setting the pace for themselves. Need Bell to come into her stock and really drive them. A little bit of too much flanking. Sometimes for an intermediate dog on a big field like this, where the cattle have lots of tasty grass to graze, dogs can be hesitant. Younger dogs or less experienced dogs can be hesitant to walk into their stock and move them. They might be more reliant on flanking to get movement. And in this case, it may be why Belle is having a bit of trouble kind of moving her stock with a mission here. We'd like to see these cattle kind of walking steady. That's a nice pace there. If they can keep something like that going, that's probably what we want to see. Just need to tuck them back around this obstacle and then a big away once you see those heads come around that panel. There we go. Now one more big away flank gets them another 30 points. But again, 6 minutes almost. You'd want to be through obstacle 4 or at least working on it by this point. You're not super happy to see yourself at 3 at 6 minutes, or not even yet at the obstacle 3. It's not out of the question that they could sail through these next few obstacles, but it's not likely either. Can't leave that one heifer behind. She has been a thorn in the side of Angie and Belle's hopes here. She said something at one point to this dog and at some point Belle needs to step into her and say, I'm in charge. This is looking good though. They got through the right opening of this obstacle on the left hand side. Now they just need to go back through this right hand side. That'll get them up to 90 points. Good work there. Just needs to tuck this lefternmost heifer around. There we go. Now a big away gets it done. Belle and Angie have got the flanking down, but it's the push in that I think at some key points here have been holding them back. One of the things that can make cattle trialing difficult is you still need those good flanks. Sometimes you need them wide, sometimes you need them tight, but they're important. But you also need the push. Without it, you're just turning. And this team has done really nice things in the intermediate class in rounds 1 and 2. They are a great team, capable of some really, really nice work, but for whatever reason today, that push just isn't there. And you can kind of see how hard it is sometimes to push your cattle through an obstacle without it. And it can be hard. On one day, your dog might have everything you want and more. And then on, if we have a bad day or have a particular group that needs a bit more or something a bit different. But there we go. Angie and Belle are going to get their 90th point for getting all 3 of their cattle through obstacle 3. But Verona might already be breaking out the champagne somewhere, because with just 1 minute left to go, it is not going to be possible for Angie, as well as they have run all week long. Unfortunately, Angie and Belle are not going to be able to get the 180 points they needed in the time they needed, or the 210 points they needed at any time to hold on to their position as first place. In fact, I think it might even be that Verona will take first and maybe second as well.
It's Verona. It's first, second, and then Trudy's third.
And we're hearing that Verona will take first and second. First with Mike, second with Eli. And unfortunately for Angie and Belle, they came very, very close.
Great trying.
But that's cattle dog trialing. That is the end of our intermediate class. It was a really, really strong class. We saw some great runs today on a tough course. We are going to move into the Horseback Finals later today. We will shut down the stream temporarily just to get organized. We're going to reset the course, have the handlers meeting for all of our horseback contestants, but you are going to want to tune back in for the Horseback Finals. I promise you that. There are some fantastic teams, some really nice handlers, great dogs, great horses, and we know the cattle are going to be great. They've been great all week, so hopefully we'll see you in an